Welcome to episode 43 of the Cohesive Home podcast. Today, Kate and I are going to be chatting about kids' spaces within the home. But first, a word from our sponsor, Kind Bar. Have you guys actually ever tried a Kind Bar? You may have seen them in your local coffee shop or grocery store or even your gym. They are absolutely delicious. They're one of our go-to snacks in our house. And they have ingredients that you can actually recognize and pronounce, which I absolutely love. So if you have tried them, or if you haven't and you'd like to, we have got a special deal for you. You can try 10 Kind Bars for free, and all you have to do is pay the shipping. When you order a sample box, you'll also get to try Kind's Snack Club, where you'll receive monthly snacks at a discount and get members-only bonuses.
And I love that I don't have to choose between eating healthy and eating great tasting food when it comes to Kind Bars. That's why both award-winning chefs and nutritionists love and recommend Kind Bars.
To pick up your free sample box, go to kindsnacks.com/cohesivehome. That's kindsnacks.com/cohesivehome. Thank you so much, Kind, for sponsoring our episode.
Well, it might be a little odd that we're talking about kids' spaces, especially when I'm getting ready to list my house this week, but I think it's a great topic.
It is a great topic, especially after Christmas.
Yes, right? So, if your kids' rooms are just overflowing with toys and new clothes and you don't even know what, we think you're going to really love this episode.
So today, Kate and I are going to just chat about what our kids' rooms have, or spaces, I should say, because some of you have more than just a room, but a kid's space has looked like in the past, and kind of what it's going to look like for us moving forward and also currently. So Kate, do you want to just start us off and kind of talk about what your kids' spaces look like currently? Just probably a funny thing to talk about.
I know, right?
Since you're in transition?
Very much in transition. So currently my kids' room in our actual house is super staged and doesn't only sort of looks like a kid's room still. And we are actually staying at my parents' house while we sell our house, because for any of you who have ever sold a house, it is impossible to keep the house clean and do showings. It's
the worst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of why we're, like I said, we're at my parents' house. But we have lived in several different houses over the years. And so, I've had the opportunity to really think about my kids' rooms and how they use the space and, just what purpose they hold. And for us, we've always lived in fairly small houses and we haven't had a playroom. So for my kids, their bedroom has been the place where they sleep, the place where they play, and also where we store a lot of their things. And, if you're in a similar boat, that can get messy just crazy fast, right?
Like you blink and it's a bomb has just gone off in the room. Yeah.
And I think something that you and I both have found over the years, Melissa, is that the more things that our kids have available and accessible to them, the bigger the mess they can create. And also, at least this is something I've noticed, the less creative and independently my kids will play. If they're just surrounded in clutter, it's almost like they lose that inspiration to just, engage in imaginative play.
Yeah, it's like the white space is gone and they don't have anywhere to doodle. They can't see past the clutter, just like we can't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
I totally feel it.
Yes, I love that you mentioned white space. I was actually just reading an article about that earlier, about the concept of white space. I mean, I've heard it a ton, it's been kind of going around the circles, but I just think that's such a relevant term to use in our homes, like not filling our kids' rooms to the brim just because we don't know how to say no to more stuff.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Right. So, Melissa, I mean, you've been through several moves and, your kids are older than mine. So, how have you kept the kid clutter at bay, especially with, birthdays and holidays and all of that?
Yeah, so I'll first sort of explain our situation. So many of you that listen to the podcast regularly, you know that we live in like 865 square feet or something like that. So we have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and I have 3 kids. And these 3 kids, they fit into one of the bedrooms. And is that the American standard? No. But it works for us. We have a bunk bed, and then we have another bed that's kind of in an L shape with that bunk, and the 3 kids stay in there. Just like what Kate said, it is like so difficult to keep things in check. I feel like as my kids get older, it is becoming both harder and easier. Harder in the sense that they want more things and they have an opinion on what they want. And so they also have the ability to hold on to like knickknacks and things that have value to them. And it's hard to get rid of those things, so that can really add up a lot easier as they get older. But the way that my husband and I are kind of combating the clutter is, we've been in this house for about 6 months and we've gone through their room probably 3 or 4 times already, just like getting everything out of under the beds and then kind of like going through all their toys and doing a good purge. And we started pretty young with our kids, like kind of getting their mindset. My oldest is really good at this. I know that your oldest is too, Kate, but kind of like having the mindset of like, okay, I don't need that anymore, or that could have a better home somewhere else. So, if you've got young kids, try and start them on that early. I feel like that just does a lot for them as they get older, and for you, helps you. So, I'm not sure if this is answering your question, but we just have to go through every month or so, probably every 2 months, we do a purge, and we ask the questions, the basic questions like, do you need this? Do you want this? And it's a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It's a struggle, especially for Brandon and I during Christmas time when we're given gifts that may be too big for our house or something like that. So, yeah, the consistent purging is kind of how we're keeping it all in check right now. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
I'm really tired right now.
So just like a note to you all listening, we are recording this at almost 10 o'clock at night. We normally record during the day. So, like the coffee has worn off, I don't know, like 10 hours ago.
10 hours ago.
I'm so tired.
Oh, I'm so tired.
But
so tired.
Yeah, we'll try and keep this like coherent and everything. But no, Melissa, actually that was awesome. And I agree with you. The regular decluttering is key. And then also something I was thinking about when you were talking about that is how there's, the decluttering every couple months. And then there's also daily management of the stuff, because you know how easy it is for like one day's mess to carry over into the other if you don't establish good habits.
Yes, and can I just say, side note on that, that's something that I am learning.
Right.
Not just trying to teach my kids, but that I am. Like I'm really, really bad at staying consistent with picking up or doing laundry or all of the motherly household things. I'm really, really bad at those. I get distracted easily, and I would much rather just have fun than do housework. So, teaching my children that on, teaching my children that on top of teaching myself that it's hard. But I feel like, that's probably one thing I've actually told myself this year I really want to be better at. So,
well, and come on. I mean, we talked about this in another episode about like our family philosophies or family culture, and your family's culture is to have fun.
yeah.
And it's not that you all are irresponsible, and I don't live by you now, but I have spent a lot of time in your home in the past, and it's not like a hoarder home. I mean, it's like clean and it's organized. It's like any normal person's home, and that it gets messy. Like, it's not a showroom, and we aren't creating our homes to be these spotless showrooms, because that's not where living happens, right? Exactly. We want to live in our homes.
Right, exactly. However, unless you're selling it like you are, then it needs to be a showroom.
Hey, listen, yeah, right. It is super showroom right now. It looks pretty good, if I'm being honest. And I am actually quite excited to be traveling, because there's no room for a bunch of stuff, and I can't wait to see what my kids do with that, and not in like a mean sort of way, but to see what all the outdoor time and creativity of making do with little will, like, how that's going to help them grow as people.
Yeah. Yes.
Or we're just going to come back all like crazy from our road adventure and buy a giant house with like 3 playrooms, and that could happen too.
Get away. I gotta get away from these people.
Right. Those 3 playrooms were just for me. I'm not talking about the kids.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I do definitely fantasize about large homes sometimes. I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
But yeah. So Kate, how are you guys going through that change right now, as far as helping your kids move from one space to another? Because I know it's hard, especially with young kids, if the inconsistency of things.
So, since we know that our kids are going to be going through such a big transition, we wanted to make sure that there was space in the travel trailer for what's most important to them. And so for us, rather than focusing on what they wouldn't be able to take with, we asked them to think about what was most important. And so each of the girls are taking a favorite stuffed animal, a favorite doll, and a favorite toy.
Cool.
And obviously they're small. And then I've also set aside, a handful of books, a couple family games, and then our homeschooling supplies, which are already very limited, because we're fairly minimalist homeschoolers.
Same here.
And right, and that's it. But like, the other part of that is we're not getting rid of all of their things.
Right.
We're putting it into storage, and that is definitely something we're doing different from the last time we went through a major transition. Now, like, all that to say, when we're done traveling on the road, we're going to be so excited to get back in a house, think about our kids' spaces, like go through all that design fun and make something for them again. So I have a question for you, Melissa. What is your approach to the design of your kids' bedrooms? Are you, do you completely take control of how their rooms look? Or do you leave that more up to them? Or how has that changed over the years too?
Obviously, as they have gotten older, it has changed. They have more of an opinion, but also it is, that's just kind of the way that we roll, is we let our kids have opinions. And so our take on, even when, so I have to say, so before I moved to Germany, I did the girls' room and Zeke's room, and that they were so young that I took my ideas and I did them. I probably asked the girls like if they liked it, and of course they're like, yes, I love this color. But for the girls, and for Zeke, that was fun for me, Now, so obviously it's 3 kids in one room, and this is 2 girls and a boy. So we let them choose their paint color, and then they helped us paint their room. And so it's a really pretty blue.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful blue color. And then they each have their own space within their bunk, or in their bed. So I should probably take some photos of this and like put it on our Instagram. But Zeke has like this whole spot above his bed that Brandon worked really hard on. Brandon had this idea that he wanted to put he has Nerf guns. He loves Nerf guns. And so he has this like board on like above his headboard. It's like one of those boards that have like the holes in it that you can like hang stuff from.
A pegboard?
A pegboard, yes, thank you. And so, oh my God, it's such an easy word. So he has a pegboard and he has his guns like on that, which that sounds super not the way that we are, but it's Nerf guns. I don't know how else to say that. We are not into guns, but Nerf guns were different. So we always tell him shoot things, not people. So he's not allowed to.
Our oldest got a bow and arrow for Christmas. I don't know if I told you that.
No,
that was
you
like the
didn't.
one thing she wanted.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
Sweet.
And so the same thing, Kirk is like, why do you have that dead look in your eyes as you're pointing the arrow right at me? She just like glosses over and you're like, am I about to get shot?
I'm not a deer. Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's so funny. Yeah. So we try and have rules about that stuff. Anyway, so he has
For
like
sure.
all his Nerf guns up there, and then he has like a shelf above that. And so he has like his Star Wars stuff up there, and his Legos are under his bed. And then each girl has, we went to Home Goods and got like, stuff changes there. So we lucked out big time, but they had these like basket wall things that were like, they had hooks on them and they just go perfectly. So the girls each have one of those in their bunk. And so and that is like their spot, they have their stuff there. And then they each have like a big, sort of a under bed storage thing, so they have certain spots and spaces for things, and we try and keep their toys and everything within those spaces. And if it gets over those spaces, then we know it's time to edit. But yeah, they each have their own spot, right? So even if you've got a room for each kid, that's each room is their spot. So for us, we had to create that within their segmented space within the room. And it's worked out pretty good. We actually just did that right before Christmas, and it looks really great. And but so back to your question, I didn't even like really nail that. Wow, I totally got off track there. They definitely had a say in what they were doing, except for how Brandon kind of took the reins of Zeke's like cool thing above his bed. They still went to Home Depot with him and picked the stuff out, and they went to Home Goods with us and picked the stuff out. And so they definitely they like the stuff that we put into their room. So yeah, that's it.
I think that's great, though. I think when a family can kind of collaborate on a bedroom, and everyone feels like their opinion matters, it just makes it that much better of a design.
Yeah.
And the kids feel more at home in their space. And like you said, whether it's a large bedroom that they have to themselves or just a bunk of their own, carving out their own space is it's so important.
It is so important. And I tend to forget that, especially living in a smaller space. I have my room that I can kick them out of. And then my oldest, she's going to be 10 soon. And I forget that, she's going to be needing her privacy and her space. And so just really trying to be aware of, even if it's just a small space, but that they have that. So I have a question for you now. How do you do this with your girls, obviously not your son yet, but with your girls and moving into the travel trailer, how are you guys going to, are you going to let them have a say in aesthetical things, or are you going to kind of take the reins with that and then just say, okay, you have this spot and that's it?
So it's going to be a little bit of both. From an aesthetic point of view, I will be designing everything
Yes.
in the travel trailer this time, simply because there's no rooms. Like it's just
Right.
one big open space,
Mhm.
and for me to not go crazy,
Yep.
everything has to kind of jive. Like it has to go together. So I've got my color palette, and I've made my mood boards because I'm a super nerd like that.
Thank you, Pinterest.
Thank you, Pinterest. But on the other hand, I'm still kind of working out the details of how I'm going to do it. But I think each girl will either have like their backpack or like a crate, like a little box or a crate to keep their things in on their bunk. So the trailer does have bunks. And so, I'll be kind of applying that same philosophy you have with your kids of, the bunk is their space. And then our bed it's kind of lofted. It's hard to explain. I will totally post pictures when I have them. So just stay tuned for that. But there's a loft area which we're going to curtain off. And so I know that if the girls need to like get away from each other, they can go to opposite sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of them can close the curtains in the loft, and the other one can go sit at the dinette by the window. And
Or if one's in trouble, you're like, go to my room or go to my
know.
bed.
And then we'll all go outside because
Mm-hmm.
again, we won't have a separate bedroom. So this is going to be a major learning curve, and I'm excited to share it with you all because I really have no idea how it's going to go, but I think it's going to go great.
It is. It's going to be awesome. Well, and you can do kind of like, I saw it on the Molly Mish. I think that's how you said their name. Their name, but they would have like, they have the casita, which is so tiny, and then they would have a tent outside for the kids.
I love that. Yeah.
And I know when we were kind of throwing around the idea of full-time travel, we were like definitely going to be doing that, having that tent set up every time we're in a stationary spot, just to kind of have an extra room. So that would be good. That could be theirs. They could decorate it, and it'd be cool.
Well, and we're going to, if the baby's napping, we're most likely going to all be outside, like weather permitting. So having a secondary space outside the camper is going to be, I would say, pretty crucial. So one more thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up this episode. And I was thinking about this the other day, Melissa. I took Charlotte over to a friend's house, and they're both, the friend is 4, and then my daughter is turning 4 actually on Wednesday, which is nuts. But Charlotte had such a blast playing with her friend because her friend had this like whole playroom full of toys, and they were all new to her. And I started thinking about how cool it is that we don't have to own all of the things. We don't have to own every single toy or gadget that our kids see, because thankfully, we can live in community with others and we can share in that. And so they can go and they can play, and they can play with whatever the latest toy is and then leave it there and go back home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's kind of how I feel about the library too.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Well, and vice versa,
Yeah.
maybe not in the travel trailer, but right now, I know when my kids, we came up and saw you guys, and my kids come into your house and there's all these cool new toys, and
Yes.
they that's all new to them. So it's super fun. And, obviously we did not take any of them home with us. So you can do that. You can utilize that, I think, in so many different ways, but
Yeah. Well, and even like with us downsizing, I've been texting all of my friends and being like, hey, who wants to borrow an indoor trampoline, or who wants to take the dollhouse for us while we're gone?
yeah,
We have this really great solid wood, like a Montessori style toddler table and chair, which is all of my kids have used it, and I'm like, I am not getting rid of that. Sorry.
Yeah.
We are holding on to it. But my sister-in-law took it to use with my nephew. And so like that's the beauty of sharing and lending our things out to others so that it can get use and not sit in storage.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Well, and even you don't have to be moving to utilize that concept. Something when you said that earlier, I thought, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. I should probably, bring that up. We have on Tuesday mornings, we have a breakfast club here with me and some other homeschool moms. Shout out to my homeschool moms. They probably don't listen to this, but actually if you do, that's true. Actually, a few do. Hey, Jenny, what's up? Anyway, we could talk about that and we could say, hey, are there toys that you love? Although I will say, my middle, Berkeley, she already does this. She loves giving things to people, including money. The other day, she told us, she goes, I gave my new friend a $5 bill. And I said, excuse me?
She is such a giver.
Yes, and I'm trying to encourage that. However, I also want her to know the value of $5.
Right.
And that
you're like, there went my venti latte, girl.
Or like, but even like that thing that you really wanted, like that you could say for that. Or what I told her when like my immediate reaction was being upset. But then right after that, I said, you do realize that she didn't need that $5. But if you want to give that $5 to someone who needs it, that is a better way to spend that money. And so she kind of was like, oh yeah, like that's right. So you want to encourage the giving, and yet, yeah. So if your child wants to give a toy, great, but make sure it's not $5. Unless it's someone who really needs it.
I guess better 5 than 50, right?
Oh, yeah. I was so shocked, but anyway, yeah, she's a giver, that's for sure.
I love that. I love that story so much. Well, we hope that you enjoyed just this informal and fun episode about kids' spaces, and that it was encouraging to you that no matter what size your kids' rooms or what they own, that they can make it their own space.
Yes, and before we go, we just want to say another thank you to Kind, the makers of healthy and delicious snacks, for supporting this episode. If you would like to try 10 Kind bars for free, and all you have to do is pay the shipping, go to kindsnacks.com/cohesivehome. That's kindsnacks.com/cohesivehome for full details.
Thank you so much for listening to the Cohesive Home Podcast, and we'll see you next time.